For Malaysian family style goat or lamb curry, these are the following ingredients you're going to need. 1 kilogram of goat or mutton or lamb, 2 tablespoons coconut oil, 4 kaffir lime leaves, 2 cloves, 1-inch cinnamon stick, 4 green cardamoms, 1 stalk lemongrass chopped, 1 liter coconut milk, 500 ml water, salt to taste, 6 small round aubergines cut into halves. For the spice powder, following other ingredients you're going to need: 80 grams of freshly grated or desiccated coconut, 2 teaspoons coriander seeds, 1 teaspoon cumin seeds, 5 or 8 macadamia nuts or 50 gram peanuts. For the spice paste, following other ingredients: 2 large onions chopped, 4 cloves garlic, 2 or 3 red chillies, 1 tablespoon ginger chopped, 1 teaspoon turmeric powder, a pinch of nutmeg powder, 50 ml coconut milk, 2 or 3 tablespoons of tamarind water. Right, to cook this recipe there are 3 steps to it. First, I have to make a spice powder, then I have to make a spice paste, and then get cooking with the lamb and tamarind and aubergine and all that. So first thing first, let's make the spice powder. Pan should be really hot. Let's start with coconut. Say about 2 tablespoons I'm going to use. Keep it all. It's fine. Idea is to just toast it lightly. It brings the oil of the coconut on surface and also gives a nice nutty flavor. That's what I'm after. It colors fairly quickly. This is beautiful. That's done. Easy. And about 2 tablespoons, which it is, of coriander seeds. Again, idea is to toast the spices so the oil gets activated, releases the flavor much better. That's done too. That goes in here. Easy. Cumin seeds, about a teaspoon is good enough. And when the pan is hot, it just goes on quickly. And the reason I am toasting it separately, because you want each and every spice to be sauteed properly or toasted properly, because if you do it together, like coriander seed is slightly bigger than cumin seed and macadamia nut is definitely much bigger, and they will toast in different times, and some spices will end up getting burnt, which won't be right. So now I can peacefully just toast macadamia nuts lightly. And macadamia nuts are, I think they are Australian in origin, if I'm not wrong, but they are also used very easily in Far Eastern Asia. But if you can't find macadamia nuts, which I'll be very amazed if you will not be able to, because it's a very common nut available in the UK, you could always use peanuts. In Malaysia, they also have a local nut, they call it candle nut, which is pretty much similar to macadamia nut, okay? So we'll go on and make our powder in a nice small blender. Right, I aim to make it into a powder, but because coconut has got so much oil, when I put it in the blender, it has come out as a paste. Never mind, it's still the same thing. It can happen if the coconut is really rich in oil. So don't think that you've gone wrong. This can happen, and I didn't do it intentionally to tell you that this can happen. Now the next paste is making the onion one, and I'm going to use a bigger blender for that. So onions. So I've used about 2 medium onions approximately. I'm just going by approximation here. And we're going to use about half a teaspoon of nutmeg powder in this. 1 teaspoon of turmeric. 1 red chilli. 4 or 5 cloves of garlic. Love garlic. And about a tablespoon and a half of just scraped and roughly chopped ginger, and about 1 stalk of lemongrass, just finely chopped. That goes in. I'll add a pinch of salt now because We'll need it later too, no doubt about it. And that's it. A little bit of water, just to be safe, because it can take a lot out of the blender otherwise. Get that out. Make sure it's really nicely sealed, otherwise it'll go onto you. Perfect, that paste is ready. So let's get cracking. Now, there's a lot of coconut, plenty of coconut in this, so you could use a little bit of coconut oil. Best is to mix it because coconut oil has got very low smoking point. Before you're ready actually to put spices and all that in, it gets really hot. So I like to mix it with a little bit of vegetable oil. So about 3 tablespoons of oil I have used here. Obviously you will get all that in recipe, but mixing it with about a tablespoon of coconut oil. That's good. And once the whole thing comes to real good heat, now the spices are, I got cinnamon stick, 4 or 5 green cardamom, 3-4 cloves, and I've got some lime leaves, kaffir lime leaves. I'm going to add it a bit later, but what happens, there is a massive vein in center and you should always remove it because you can actually eat the lime leaf, but it'll be very hard to eat that vein. So I always prefer to remove it. Some people don't like it, I like to remove it just to make life easy. About 3-4 lime leaves I will be requiring. Now I'm using goat, sorry, I was supposed to use goat, but I'm using lamb purely to keep it more universal. But if you are someone who loves goat, you will really enjoy this recipe more. Wow, beautiful. That's what you want. Spices cracking away. Now, that is an explosion. Take it down, take the heat down when you do that, otherwise you might get scalded, which you don't want. Mixture has got plenty of water in that. And believe it or not, especially when you're cooking onions like this, which has got a little bit of water, if you have a little bit of salt in the onion, it really helps. It doesn't bubble up so much and burns you. And now what all I need to do is just cook it slowly, really slowly, till it properly cooks, okay? And while this is cooking, I'm going to put a separate pan and saute the lamb lightly, just to get a nice light brown color, and then mix the two. Right, I've got a saute pan here and my sauce is going on, which needs to cook till it's light brown in color, okay? So I'll let that go on slowly. It actually wouldn't become light brown because there's a lot of turmeric in there, but still onion and garlic needs to be cooked properly before I do anything else, okay? So I'll leave that there. And now, what I'm going to do is I got lamb and my spice paste. All I want to do is actually mix the lamb with the spice paste, which will make life a lot easier while sauteing it. Just roughly, don't have to be perfectly coated because spice paste has been toasted nicely, and that's good enough. Add a little bit of oil, about a tablespoon will do. I know this dish sounds really rich, but trust me, it comes around very well. The flavors and all that, the quantity you're using, it's all justified towards the end. You really need good heat in the oil before you add the lamb, because the function of doing this step is to sear the meat. The oil temperature has to be right just to seal the lamb and the spices together, and that goes in now. Now I've used lamb, but if you're using goat, or even in the case of lamb as well, use the part of the meat, something like leg, I would say, leg or shoulder. Shoulder would need slightly different cooking, but leg would be the most ideal one, purely because you need to cook for fairly long time to get the best out of the meat. And that way, this way, if you have the leg, then it works really well. Now that's cooking nicely. Beautiful flavors. I wish you could take the whiff of this smell. It's really lovely. Now while this is cooking, I'm just going to lower all my lime leaves in here. That'll give beautiful flavor. And I have extra lemongrass, which I'm going to add it here as well. It's cooking really well. The spices are getting stuck to the bottom of the pan, but the idea is to keep scraping them so that they're not getting burnt. Look at that. So when it just starts becoming a little difficult, take help of a little water. Just scrape the bottom really well. Now this is looking wonderful. I'm very happy with the color and the way paste has gone in this. I'm just going to lower the heat and let this cook for a little more time. And then we can mix the two, add coconut milk and aubergine and tamarind and bring to the end. Right, so this paste is almost cooked. It's at a stage where onions are almost half cooked. It's not fully cooked. But from now on, they're going to need lamb and the other spice paste. So what we can do is just bring it together. Actually, I'm going to move this pan here to make my life easy and add all of it. This is all the goodies which you want to scrape it off and put it in your curry. You don't want to lose out any of the spice flavors. We have worked really hard on it. Here we go. This is done. And I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of tamarind. It's not all about flavor, it's also about science of cooking. What tamarind does from here on, it slows the cooking of meat. It's an acid, it stops the cooking of protein, slows the cooking of protein easily, and meat will become even tender as it cooks slowly from here on. So I have to add a little bit of water and coconut milk, which is almost half the quantity. So I'll add about 150 ml of water and about 150 ml of coconut milk. Adjust the salt because salt will be required, otherwise lamb will not absorb the salt from here on. Salt always to taste. And I will let this cook slowly until meat is completely cooked. From here on, it might take good 20 to 25 minutes. Right folks, this is almost ready. So lamb is perfectly cooked. All you need to do is just add some aubergine. Now, eggplant or aubergine, whatever you want to call it, some people call it brinjal as well. You get these tiny ones, these are Thai ones, which are delicious. So when lamb is 3/4 cooked, you add them. And if you don't have that, you can't find them, take the big one or the long one, whichever, cut into roundels, lightly pan fried, easy done, and then add it straight in there. And that's it, give it one good stir and one good boil, and this is perfectly cooked. Now serve it with either jasmine rice or boiled steamed rice. I got this boiled steamed rice here. So keep that here, turn it, and serve it quickly. It's a lovely, lovely, delicious recipe. And I'm sure I have made Chef Juan very proud. That's his family recipe he shared with me. Right, so remove the bowl. And you've got some edible flowers. You can use some chili, some coriander sprig, whatever you want really, that can go in here. And I love to put some flowers on that because Malaysia is so beautiful and so colorful. It can be best described as a lovely, lovely flower. So here we go. That's my family goat curry from Malaysia, from Chef Juan. So this is how I went on to make my goat curry. I went on to make the spice paste first, for which I had to toast the spices. It was desiccated coconut, then coriander seeds, cumin seeds, and then macadamia nuts. And I made that into a fine powder stroke paste. To make the spice paste, I went on to add onions, nutmeg, turmeric powder, red chilies, then garlic, ginger, and a little bit of water stroke coconut milk you can use really if you want to. Now in the separate pan, I started sauteing the spices, which were cinnamon, cardamom, clove. I had used little coconut oil as well in this. Then I added the spice paste into it and cooked the spice paste till it was perfectly fragrant. And then on another pan, I went on to saute the spice powder and the lamb together till lamb was light brown, and mixed the lamb with the curry sauce and bring it to boil, simmer until it's perfectly cooked. And towards the end, add a little bit of coconut milk if required, and also the pan-fried pieces of aubergine, or just the raw aubergine will do, and then you would have to cook them for another 10-15 minutes. And then serve it with just jasmine rice or steamed rice. Garnish with red chili, coriander sprigs, and some edible flowers if you have some in your garden.